What's buzzing, everybody? Welcome to the pilot episode of the What's Buzzin' podcast. My name is Drew. It's my co-host Jacob.
I'm Jacob.
And we're coming at you guys with the first episode of the What's Buzzin' podcast. This podcast is designed to help young people have a grasp of finances and staying out of debt and being able to be rich as soon as possible.
Yeah, let's do this, Drew. Let's get it right into it. Just to introduce ourselves, like Drew said, my name is Jacob. I'm an accounting and finance major, and I'm a junior.
I'm a second semester sophomore. I'm also majoring in finance with a minor in financial planning and hopes to become a certified financial planner.
And I guess the goals of this podcast, are to give our views on how we're paying for college and hopefully have other people guest on it and talk about their college experiences and their financial life. And go from there and, see if we can have a positive impact on, this generation's financial well-being.
Everybody wants to be rich. No one wants to be broke. No one wants to be poor. And we're going to try to help you guys. It's not like a get-rich-quick scheme or anything like that, but we're going to try to help you guys stay out of debt and have a financially healthy life.
I guess, Drew, we could talk about, our financial goals for this year. I know one of mine would just be to max out my Roth. I think the IRS changed it from $5,500 to $6,000 this year, so that's my biggest goal right now. What about you, bud?
I'm just trying to save as much money as possible, try to minimize my expenditures, and try to minimize how much money I spend on things, try to save as much money as possible for the long term.
Yeah, I get that, man. I listened to an interview today about this guy, and he said, Amazon was the biggest thing that keeps, it's the little urge where
Mm-hmm.
90% of everything he buys is under $20, and he did I think an analysis with his wife where it's 90% of everything he bought over 3 years was under $35, and it cost him $6,000 over the last year and a half, and I think that's crazy.
And that's what I'm saying, is spending money on little stuff, going out to eat every once in a while, spending a little money on stuff here and there, under $20. That stuff adds up real quick for doing that stuff a lot. So it's probably best, what I think it's best to do is try to minimize the amount of times you do that and just try to save up as much as you can. Sure, you give up on some pleasantries and some fun stuff, but in the long term, it helps you save a lot of money, and in the long term, it helps you grow as an individual as well.
Yeah. I don't think you're saying, never go out to eat.
No.
But you got to look at the effect that, going out, spending $10-15 at a Whataburger every day for lunch instead of
you don't need to go out every single day and go out to eat for lunch. You can take a sandwich with you for lunch, at work, that type of stuff. You don't have to go out and buy something every single day for lunch, because that adds up real quick.
Yeah, I brown bag lunch every day, and I'm trying to make people at work buy me food.
I don't even eat lunch, so
to add a little more about myself, I'm working at a car dealership right now, doing lot work and just helping out them and kind of assisting in sales. I'll help with car deliveries, and if they need a car somewhere to go, and I'm making about $10 an hour, and that helps pay for school. And I know Drew's working on a gym at the moment.
I am. I'm working at a gym. I'm making $9 an hour, so it's nothing too fancy, but I do work about 35 hours a week, so that adds up pretty quick. And when you don't spend money on stuff, and you can try to save as much as possible and minimize your outflows and maximize your inflows, then you make money quicker because you make more than you spend, obviously.
Yeah, going off that, I live in the dorms. This last semester, and I was trying to buy a house. I was paying $4,000 to live in the dorms, and I was that's ridiculous. So I moved back home, and I just closed on my house, but I can't move there until mid-summer. And so I got tenants living there for now. And, that's kind of cool because that's, we can talk about that for a minute, talk about the finances of that, but that's cash.
Yeah, one thing back on, living, at college, I was originally going to a junior college up in Kansas City, and that cost me $4,000 a semester just for room and board also. And that's at a junior college. That's a community college. Damn. That's a 2-year school. That's not even a 4-year school. And community colleges are supposed to be cheap. They're supposed to be easy to go to. And that was one of the big deciding factors of me coming home, was being able to live at home and not spend a ton of money going to college, because I'm paying for tuition and everything else cheaper than I would have been paying room and board at this junior college. So in the long term, like I don't regret coming back from that Kansas City place, but I do kind of like wonder what could happen sometimes. But
Kind of what
you never know. Like, I'm very happy with my decision because it was financially the best thing to do, and then I discovered that I really like finance and I want to do this as a living. I want to help people out financially, and I just think it's the best thing to do. I think if you can live at home, I don't see why you wouldn't. Like, sure, like you sacrifice some things, like you sacrifice some of the college experience, but it's so much better for you financially if you can just live at home, and it's just the smartest thing to do, I think.
You were playing ball up there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, baseball.
Shit, $4,000.
Yeah.
That's insane. How much is tuition up there?
They didn't actually offer,
They
didn't offer any scholarships to out-of-state kids. So, like, I would have had to been from
dude.
Kansas, and
That's
I wasn't. So, like,
stupid.
I wasn't getting anything, or I was getting, like, they were paying for my books, but that was about it. Like, that's all the scholarship money I got because I got there really, really late.
That makes sense.
I committed in July, and school started in August.
Dude, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
You know, that's...
Now, if you're trying to go to college and you're trying to make, like, if you're trying to, like, save the most you can, basically just be an athlete. Like, just go play football. Like, just be good enough to play Division I football, and you're all good to go.
I wish, man. I read another article about how, you know, if we go to school and, you know, we complete college, you know, even if we complete in college debt-free and you compare it to, like, who's a really good receiver, like Amari Cooper, he's pretty solid.
He's garbage, but...
Bro, he's not bad. Amari's pretty
Julio,
good.
let's go with Julio.
Okay, Julio. You know, I can run like a 4.9. You know, Julio runs like probably like a 4.4.
You don't run a 4.9.
Okay. I'm okay.
Okay, anyways.
I can catch pretty well. I'm just slow as shit.
You're not Julio Jones, but...
No, I'm not 6'3", and I'm not, you know, 6'3", 200, but like the percentage difference in that is not...
Yeah, not everyone's going to naturally be gifted enough to, like, play in college and play in the NFL. But I think, personally, getting out of college debt-free is huge for people in their attempts to get rich because the interest on student loans is astronomical. Like, it's insane. And if you can get out of college without having any of that, you're setting yourself up in the long term for a more successful life down the road because you don't have to pay that back throughout your entire life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what I was going off with this percentage thing is like let's say Julio's 40% more athletic than you or I.
He's 100% more athletic than you.
But the number wise, you know, I agree, but number wise, you know, 40%. And, you know, these kids are, he's probably like 23, 24, 25 maybe.
He's like 27, but anyway.
He's old, 27. But he's making like 2,000 times more money I'll make when I'm 27. For being 40% better at something than I am. Which I think is insane.
That's a crazy thing to think about.
Yeah.
Now, if you can't, if you can't run fast, jump high, like, if you don't have insane athletic ability, go play golf.
Or just be smart.
Or be smart. That helps, too.
Just be, don't be stupid. I mean, like, I'm not talking in the sense of, like, scholarship, like, for being, like, a genius-wise. I mean, just make smart decisions. Like,
one thing I regret from my time in high school is that I took some AP classes, and in hindsight, I wouldn't have done that. Because, like,
really?
Why take a harder class when you can take a regular class and make a higher grade in it?
College credit.
But I didn't pass the AP tests.
Ooh,
so, like, I took these classes, and I, like, studied hard, and I was more concerned about making it an A or B in the class than I was actually passing the AP test. So, if I could go back and take them again, I would have gone back and taken the regular course instead of the AP course. Because, me personally, like, if you don't pass that AP test... Colleges don't really care about your, like, weighted GPA that much. Like, if you go in with a 4.0 and you haven't taken any AP classes, they see a 4.0 student and they're fine with that rather than a 3.5 student or a 3.7 weighted GPA.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I always see it as, like, you know, elite. If you're going to take the AP class, just try to get the credit, you know, elite. Like, you know, did you attempt to take the...
I took the test. I just didn't pass them.
That makes sense.
I was, like, 1 point short on all of them. Like, I'd make a 3 to pass. I made a 2. Like,
yeah, that was me with AP history, or AP government.
Now, if you're in college and you're still undecided on a major, I'm not saying don't do something that you won't love, but don't do something where you won't make any money. Like, there's some things in college that you really don't need to major in, that, like, no one really needs to major in unless you're trying to be, like, a teacher or something like that. Like, I do think, like, being, like, say, an English major is important because I think the English language itself is a very important thing to understand, and I think English teachers are very important. But if you love English, then go do that. You know, like that's a good. But I'm just saying, like, there's like some studies like in college, and English is definitely not one of them. English is a useful major. I'm not saying anything bad on English majors, but if there's a major, for example, like some like foreign studies, something like don't limit yourself with your major on what kind of jobs you can get in the future, because if you get a very narrow-minded major, then you really limit yourself in the different types of jobs you can get, and you really limit yourself in the future.
Like, what's Dave always say? Like, don't get a degree in like left-handed puppetry or something.
Yeah,
something like
there's
that,
some like you can get a degree in underwater basket weaving, and you limit yourself to underwater basket weaving. You know, you have to get something that if you don't like, you have to just give yourself options, because your number one option might not always work out. No, so you always have to plan B and plan C, just in case your number one option doesn't work out. And sometimes if you're trying to pick a college major, sometimes that major limits you to one job or two jobs, where if you don't work out with that, then you're screwed and you just wasted 4 years of your money and of your time.
Yeah, like, I think it's good, at least with most business degrees, like, you can kind of do, like, I'm accounting, finance, or finance. You could go work at a company, you could go work at a bank, you could go I could go work at a CPA firm. You know, we have a pretty large... You
can start your own business. There's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah, we could do CFP stuff. I mean, we could do a ton of stuff with our degrees. I mean, like, I just like people who like get painting or like artistic degrees. I love that stuff.
Yeah, like that's great. Like, if you do what you love, I really admire that.
Like, if you're passionate about it, I mean, do it. But like,
exactly.
You gotta have a good fallback, or like just minor in it and do it as like a once you do get financially independent, then you can really focus on, like, if you love to paint, you could really hone in on that stuff.
You could start your own business, but like if you're doing something like artistic, like painting, or like if you're like an artist or anything like that, I would probably recommend doing some kind of business minor or business degree, because then you have an understanding of business. Now you can promote yourself and your work to people and make money off of what you love doing.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. Hey, Drew, have you read Chris Hogan's new book yet?
I have not. I'm currently
right here.
I'm currently reading a Dave Ramsey book. Dave Ramsey is one of my personal biggest inspirations, because in high school we took a personal finance course, and our teacher, Mr. Ferris, was very big. That class really influenced me and really convinced me to not go to a big state school, and use a lot of money on that. It really convinced me that going to a smaller school, less expensive school, was okay, and that was the better thing to do long term.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Like, between the personal finance class and I took AP Macro with him, he really, helped me form my, I guess, mindset along with my dad kind of towards the business, which is...
Why don't you go ahead and talk about your business, Jacob?
The good old bees. I mean, what you want to know, buddy?
Just talking about, like, what inspired you to make the bees? Like, what is your goals with the bees? Jacob owns a honey company called Buzzin Brothers, and...
So what this podcast is relatively based off, hence the What's Buzzin' thing. But, I mean, they're fun. I started that in my junior year in high school.
When you started, it was more of like a hobby, or were you just trying to, like, just mess around with it, or were you trying to, like, make bank off of it?
I'm going to try to make bank day one, man. I'm here to make... I'm here to make... Probably it's not a bad thing.
We ain't playing games.
Yeah, I mean, probably it's not a bad thing. People are like... Someone at the dealership yesterday was like, I don't want you to make profit on this car. And I'm like... Honda, everyone's got to make money, man. I mean, like, if we don't make profit, we can't, keep the lifetime, we can't feed our families. I don't have kids, but, like, the the salesman.
Sorry, Cameron.
Like, the salesman, they have kids, they got to pay their mortgages, and, our GM's got a kid, and our GSM has a kid, so, if people don't make profit, they can't eat.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, everyone has different reasons for, like, their financial goals and what they're trying to do financially. If your goal is to just make enough money to just feed your family and get by, then that's one thing. But I always think that complacency is evil. Like, I don't think you should ever settle for anything. I think there's always a way to improve yourself and always a way to find. I think there's always a way to better yourself, whether it be physically, mentally, financially, anything you can do to better yourself. I think you should do that.
I hate complacent. I'm never complacent, or I try not to be. Like, funny fact. Yahoo did a poll, I guess, this beginning of the year about the worst jobs in America. My job's number one.
So Jacob is literally working the worst job in America.
And
so I mean, if you think your job sucks, keep that in mind.
And so, I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to go find a CPA firm or a bank or someone just to give me some kind of shot, just to help build myself, build my resume up and kind of get, started in my career.
Now, if you guys are like struggling, like if you're looking for a job and don't really know where to go, like you can even with like Walmart. Walmart offers very competitive pay. Like people at Walmart make more than I make. They get benefits. Like there's a lot of different jobs you can do to make decent money, and it just really depends on how hard you want to work and how much you're willing to put into it. Because if you're desperate to make money, you can go out and work 2 jobs. Like there's a lot of things you can do to make money. It just matters of how hard you want to work and how badly you want it.
Dude, Walmart will pay for your degree, man. Like
exactly. Like there's places that will do stuff for you to help you get better. Like they want you to be better.
Turnover is expensive, man. And like once people, businesses know that, and they'll start like, if I get this job at like Tinker Federal Credit Union, after like a year, they're gonna start paying for my school.
Exactly.
Which is crazy. I mean, like, you gotta find stuff like that. There's companies like that, and it's companies that are willing to invest in you. You gotta just invest in them and find them. Drew, I've been reading a book called Set for Life by Scott Trench, and he's big on like, setting yourself early in life so you can do, what you want when you want to. And he's big on like this FIRE movement, which is like financially independent, retire early. He's a big real estate Mongol, but what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I agree. No one wants to work until they're 70, 80 years old. Like everyone wants to retire, like make a lot of money, retire as soon as possible, and just live a very lavish life. And there's a lot of people that think they make the mistake of trying to live extravagantly early on before they even have any money, and they're using credit cards, stuff like that, and trying to use this fake money that they don't have and trying to live that way, when in reality it's much smarter for you to save up and try to retire early and just make as much money as you can early on, rather than spending a lot of money early on in your life.
Yeah, I mean, I see it as, I'm using my IRA for like long-term money, but I'm trying to get into real estate with this house I just got as, my roadway to financially independence within hopefully like 13 years. I mean, all you need is like, if I can get 5 single-family homes, or like 5 or a couple, duplexes that are cash flowing positive.
And we're not telling you guys like go out and invest in real estate. Real estate's a risky thing to do, but we're just encouraging you guys to really think about what you're doing. If you're spending a lot of money using a lot of credit cards, we really discourage that kind of thing, because interest rates on credit cards are also very high, as are student loans, stuff like that. So there's a lot of different things you can do. And a lot of it's just changing your behavior, really, because there's a lot of things, there's little things you can do to make yourself not spend a bunch of money. Like, let's say you wake up every morning and you get coffee. Let's say you go to Starbucks. You can go to 7-Eleven and get a cup of coffee for 99 cents rather than going to Starbucks and getting it for however much Starbucks costs. Like, there's a lot of little things you can do in your life to save yourself money.
The classic example right there. I mean, where you can just brew it at home. But
exactly. That's also another thing. Like, just buy a coffee maker. You can buy a coffee maker for $15 at Walmart. So, we're just going to wrap it up now. We're going to be coming at you guys with a episode of the podcast every other week. Once we start getting a following, if we get a following, anything like that, we might up the amount of episodes we do to once a week. We'll look to expand, take Twitter questions, that type of stuff, if you guys are interested in that. Otherwise, we'll come at you guys every other week with a new topic, new podcast, and try to help you guys get rich. Not get rich, but help you guys not be poor.
Financially independent.
We're trying to help you not be poor, basically.
Big on the, we like guests. So if you want to be a guest on the podcast, hit us up on the Twitter. Hit us up at Buzzin Brothers for, questions, and or if you want to be on the podcast, we'd love to have you on there.
Or if you want to buy some honey.
Or that, chapstick's coming out. I need to really, dive deep into that and kind of market that. And
we got big things coming from Buzzin Brothers and What's Buzzin Pod, so make sure you guys stay tuned, and always remember, dreams don't work unless you do.